Hello friends, welcome to Daily Munchies. Now we shall have a series of lectures from the mains point of view. Today we shall discuss about port-led development. Basically, ports are really important for us from the foreign trade point of view. India has got a vast coastline of approximately 7,500 kilometers, and this is the potential for developing numerous ports. In fact, development of ports and capacity addition in the major ports in since last 3 to 4 years has been enormous. The statistics go by approximately there are 200 plus minor ports in India and 12 major ports, which carry out almost 95% of the foreign trade. It is important to note that our maritime capabilities are very important from foreign trade point of view. The World Bank's global performance with respect to maritime capabilities uh, has come up with an index in 2016 which ranks India as 35th out of 160 countries. It is much lower compared to our Asian neighbors. China ranks at 25, Singapore ranks at the 5th place. This is because the turnaround time is really very low in case of Singapore, which is less than 1 day. Whereas for India, the turnaround time is around 2 days. Now looking at our ports, which are the major ports in India. As you can visualize, this map indicates Mundra port that or the Kandla port, then Mumbai port, Mormugao, Nhava Sheva or the JNPT near Mumbai. Again, we have the New Mangalore port, the Kochi port. These are the ports on the western coast. While on the eastern coast, major ports are Tuticorin, Chennai, Vishakhapatnam, Paradeep, Kolkata, and Haldia. Of these, Mangalore, Tuticorin, Chennai, and Vishakhapatnam are the artificial ports. The JNPT port of Mumbai and Chennai port are, in fact, one of the heaviest ports of India. They These ports are in fact ranked as the JNPT port is ranked top 24th container port. In fact, when you compare these numbers with China, China has got almost 5 ports from the top 10 ports in the world. This is because Chinese economy is export oriented and it is very well utilizing the its ports for export purposes. Now we'll understand why ports are important. Ports are important because a lot of times you realize that there are local regional industrial developments all around the ports. Ports have hinterland connections. In fact, for example, Delhi is the only dry port in India. While there are multimodal connections, that is the raw material and the finished goods which are produced within the country are transported by a road route, or even the waterways, and they reach these major ports from where there is custom clearance, and then these shipments are exported. Now, there is one important point to be known is the World Bank has come up with the ease of doing business, and we know that India is laggard in one of the major parameters known as the ease of trading across borders. And it is because of this reason that we need to develop our port infrastructure so that India's ranking will also improve in the ease of doing business. Now, let us understand what are the problems in the India ports of India. These ports, although we know there are 12 major ports, the equipments are capable of handling large volumes. For example, Chennai and JNPT port have numerous huge traffic and their equipments are inadequate for handling such huge load. Also, the navigational aids and the IT systems used are really outdated. We need to improvise on investments, add on newer technologies so that the turnaround time can be reduced down. Also, there is a deficient in dredging. You can visualize in this image that dredging is going on. This is because nowadays the vessels have become larger in size. What we call is the Panama Max size. That is, those vessels which can pass through the Panama Canal is known as Panama, and those beyond larger ones are known as Panama Max. Now, these vessels are increasingly dominant in the global trade. That is the reason why we need to have deeper ports and frequent dredging has to be done. Other important problems are the maintenance problems. Although ports have been developed, but the port authorities are not able to maintain the infrastructure well. There is high amount of underinvestment. Also, the hinterland that we visualized in the previous map, the hinterland connectivity is poor. The roadways are not in a good shape. There's no efficient connectivity between the industrial areas in the interior and the major ports. So these form one of the major drawbacks or the problems in the development of ports. Apart from this, there are in development of newer ports, there are issues with the environmental clearances. There are regulatory delays. Since these fall in the coastal regulatory zones, so compliance with the coastal regulatory CRZ regulations is observed to be one of the major drawbacks in newer port developments. Now let us see what steps the government has taken. The government has come up very recently about the Major Port Authorities Bill 2020. This bill intends to create a major port authorities board which will replace the port trust. This board will provide greater autonomy to the functioning. It will delegate a lot of powers with regards to contracts, planning and development, fixing of tariff, except certain in interest of national security. Now, it will also promote new modes of PPP, which is also known as the landlord port model. In the landlord port model, the ownership lies with the port authority and infrastructure is leased to the private firms. They will provide their expertise and they will invest and create superstructures, and eventually they will share certain revenue with the port authority. So this is the type of concessions type of model in the PPP. Other steps that the government has taken is this create enactment of the Central Port Authority 2016, which has provided greater autonomy to the management of ports. Now, the model concession agreement also provides incentives, which is this agreement has MCA has been revised and provides incentives to the private players so that they can they develop all these ports. In fact, also contains the government has taken steps to provide 10-year tax holidays to companies which maintain and operate ports. The government shall provide 50% funding for the development of ports. Also, the newer project now, which has come up in 2015, that is the Sagarmala project. This visualizes port-led prosperity and development. It aims to, reduction of the logistic cost for EXIM and domestic trade within minimal infrastructure development. That is, it tries to promote export-oriented policy. It also will have reduction in the transportation cost of the cargo so that our exports become viable, become export competitive. It will also optimize on the time and cost of the container movement. It will reduce down the custom clearance time and help help swift movements of the container. It will take care of the logistic activities, and in the future, it will also lead to development of industrial capacities around the coastal areas. Thus, improving the foreign trade will help gain a lot of forex reserves to the country. One of the other development is development of other major ports. For example, the Vadhavan port, which is around 200 kilometers from the Mumbai port, so that there can be certain decentralization and regional development can take place without any imbalance. So these were the things about port development.